Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about a 2016 French sci-fi show called Trepalium. Due to severe environmental pollution, the government took drastic measures. They relocated 20% of the population to a habitable area and built a wall to keep the remaining 80% outside. The story begins 30 years after this new order was established. One morning, a teenager named Noah walks through the ruined slums. People who live beyond the wall sleep out in the open. Noah checks the pulse of one man and realizes he has died from the cold. He then spots a bottle of clean water belonging to a woman and steals it. When she tries to fight back, Noah's mother, Izia, holds a knife to the woman's throat, forcing her to back off. Soon after, Izia and Noah hear a siren, calling everyone to the checkpoint. A government lottery is about to be held, giving a few lucky individuals the chance to cross the wall and access jobs and better living conditions. While people on one side struggle to survive, those inside the wall live in luxury. Meanwhile, a man named Ruben hurries his mute daughter Mel to gather her old clothes before the collector arrives, as failure to do so will result in a fine. Ruben also sets a brain training device in her room, which replaces traditional schooling in this dystopian world. Ruben and his wife, Thais, head to their jobs at Aquaville, a company responsible for water purification. Prime Minister Nadia Passero is scheduled to make an important announcement, and all employees are required to watch. News reports reveal that Minister of Labor Monroe Moretti has just been freed after being held captive for 13 months by radicals beyond the wall. He had originally gone beyond the wall to present prizes to lottery winners when he was kidnapped. The long negotiations for his release have finally succeeded. In a historic moment, Prime Minister Nadia, who hasn't left the civilized area in over 10 years, travels beyond the wall to make her announcement. Izia and Noah, along with many others, are present. While Nadia speaks to the crowd, Ruben and the Aquaville staff watch the broadcast anxiously. Nadia reminisces about her childhood, recalling visits to the park where children from different backgrounds played together without feeling divided. After the wall was erected, the park was destroyed, but Nadia still dreams of rebuilding it. She goes on to explain that during the negotiations for Monroe's release, she was able to broker a truce with the rebels, allowing her to secure funding to create new jobs, something that hasn't happened in 20 years. 10,000 unemployed people will now have the chance to work on the other side of the wall through a program called Solidarity Participation, which she believes will help society move in the right direction. The rebels release Minister Monroe, and Nadia prompts him to assure the crowd that he was treated well. She then announces that, starting tomorrow, every family inside the wall will host one worker from beyond. As they leave in the car, the news reports that the World Bank president has welcomed the Solidarity Project and is happy about Monroe's release. Nadia explains that the World Bank had refused to support the national budget after Monroe's kidnapping, forcing her to find a solution. Without this, the country would have faced a crisis, especially as major companies like Aquaville were suffering significant losses. While the unemployed wait anxiously to see who will be selected to cross the wall, children attend class. A teacher explains the origin of the French word travail, meaning work. It comes from the Latin word trepalium, an ancient torture device used to punish rebellious slaves by tying them to crossed sticks and tearing their limbs apart. Noah, in disbelief, says that this can't be true. Work shouldn't involve suffering. 13 years earlier, his father had won the lottery, crossed the wall, and gained a normal life. The teacher explains that since the early 21st century, unemployment kept increasing until it reached 80%. Those who were unemployed were deemed useless, and with no solution in sight, the government built a wall to separate them from the rest of society. The real question, she says, is why work has become the justification for one's existence and humanity. Ruben steps into the hallway and discovers his boss has died. He immediately calls his father, Silas, telling him he wants to apply for the position. Silas, meanwhile, is speaking with a doctor. He suffers from a disease causing blackouts, meaning he will soon be unable to work and could end up on the other side of the wall. Knowing Ruben is just a regular employee and unable to support him, Silas realizes after the call that there may still be hope. Izia, having secured a job interview, stands next to another girl in the hiring office. The staff inform them there is only one position available. Izia accuses the other girl of taking drugs, and despite her protests, the girl is removed, and Izia gets the job. Those hired are given a number on their arm. Meanwhile, Thais is working when her tablet notifies her that she's been 46 minutes late over the past week, marking her as an ineffective employee. She meets her lover, Hans, in the bathroom and tells him she can't get access to Silas's office, where he holds a senior position at Aquaville. Hans plans to leak the company's secret data to a competitor and escape the city together. Thais fears getting caught, which would result in her being fired and sent beyond the wall. Hans reassures her that things will work out. However, as she returns to work, her tablet warns her that her work speed is too slow and her emotional state continues to deteriorate. Noah meets Izia, who joyfully announces that she's been hired. They embrace, and she tells him that in 4 months she'll have saved enough money for them to move south together, where they hope to find his missing father. Ruben watches a press conference held by the Minister of Labor to mark his return from captivity. The minister shares that during his time with the rebels, he learned that even the society behind the wall faces serious issues. Thais arrives, looking upset. She informs Ruben that Silas has stopped communicating with them, meaning Ruben won't be promoted to his superior's position. She also fears that their daughter won't be able to attend a prestigious college and may end up on the other side of the wall after high school. Mael overhears her mother saying it would be better to get rid of her and have another child. Ruben comforts his daughter, explaining that her mother is just stressed and shouldn't be taken seriously. He also informs her that a worker from the zone will soon be living with them and gives Mael a taser for self-defense. After receiving a call from his father, Silas, Ruben leaves to meet him. During their conversation, Ruben expresses his interest in applying for a department head position. Silas acknowledges that Ruben's profile is strong, but notes that Thais is on the verge of being fired. He offers to arrange a meeting with the CEO, stressing the importance of Ruben performing his best and promising support as long as Ruben doesn't let him down. Meanwhile, Hans meets with the head of security, explaining that Thais Garcia will deliver the necessary data tomorrow, and she must facilitate his departure from the city. The security head confirms arrangements with both soldiers and rebels to ensure his passage through the wall. Later, Ruben informs Thais that his father is willing to help with his promotion, but they need to report to the ministry for an appointment. Thais responds that she needs to meet with Silas beforehand, and Ruben agrees to try to set it up. Izia crosses the checkpoint and boards the bus to her new job. As Noah watches her leave, the bus drives behind the wall, revealing a city of well-kept homes and clean streets. A voiceover informs the workers that they must follow strict routes to their employers and are forbidden from moving freely around the city. They must return home by midnight, and any infractions, such as damaging or stealing from their employers, will result in expulsion and punishment. Izia passes through the checkpoint and boards the bus to her new job. Noah watches her leave with a heavy heart. As the bus travels beyond the wall, it passes well-kept houses and clean streets. An announcement reminds the workers that they must follow a set route to their employers, return home before midnight, and are forbidden from moving freely in the city. Violating these rules could lead to expulsion and punishment. Upon arriving at the Garcia household, Izia introduces herself, but Thais rudely slams the door in her face and informs Ruben that a worker from the zone is waiting. Ruben lets Izia in, unsure of what to do with her, since the house is already being cleaned by others. He sends her to Mael's room to gather some toys that need to be returned. When Mael refuses to part with her doll, Ruben forcibly takes it and throws it towards the toy box. Izia, observing the scene, thoughtfully picks up the doll and asks Mael to help her open the drawers, even though the girl had earlier pointed the taser at her. Eventually, Mael agrees to help, and while tidying up, hides the doll under her blanket. At work, Ruben comments that the sanitation worker resembles Thais, but she dismisses the comparison. Thais goes to see Silas, but is stopped by security and told she must undergo a special examination, a new rule introduced by Hans, the head of finance. Thais leaves. Later, a toy collector arrives at the Garcia home and upon seeing Izia, angrily claims that he deserves the job more than anyone else. He spits in her face before leaving. Ruben receives a notification that Thais has left her post. He tries calling her but gets no response. When he returns home, Thais is nowhere to be found, and only 2 hours remain before the ministerial reception. Desperate, Ruben makes a bold decision and asks Izia, who is on her way back to the zone, to replace his wife. That wraps up the story. Thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments what show or movie you'd like to see next, and I'll see you all next time.